Hi, this is Kathy, and there were two different people that had questions about points in a harmonic rotation. One of them was, and these were from two different people, so I thought I'd just do a short video explaining both. The first one was they did not understand what a valid C point was. So, without seeing on the right side of the chart, I'm going to expand this. This was what somebody was looking at, okay? The high to this low, and at this juncture, this is an emerging bat, meaning that if price comes back above this triangle point, it's going to head for the bat PRZ at 51.56, right? Right now it's under this triangle point. So what it's doing is it's forming the next leg. Now in order, and it's forming the BC leg, meaning it's seeking the C point. Because in most harmonic patterns you're going to have an X, A, B, C, and the final one is to D. Okay? So once price is able to hold back above this triangle point, then it is an emerging bat, and that 51.56 is the target. At this juncture, this is an assumption that the C point is here, okay, at this low. Because every leg should retrace at least 38.2% of the previous leg. So in other words, this X to A, it bounced 50%. It retraced that leg at least 38.2%. So that became an immediate emerging pattern. Now the next leg, the B to C, has to retrace this leg, A to B, at least 38.2%. And this has, I can tell, this is approximately 50% from this low to this high. Okay, so this is a valid C point, and it needs follow through. It needs follow through to take out this point of the triangle. Now, once we played out, let's look. Okay, it held under the golden ratio zone and made a lower point. It went lower than this what we considered the C point. So that means it's not done forming the BC leg, right? So we would keep waiting and waiting and waiting to see if at some juncture price is going to be able to have a valid C point, meaning a low that does not go below the A. So up until this point that it broke down here, this was an emerging bat. Once it took out the A point, C, it is the law of harmonics, this C cannot be lower than the A, or it invalidates that pattern, okay? So the only valid C point we had in this ST20 Renko ST-Renko 20 bar chart was this one up here, and that was invalidated once it broke down below it, and then it took out the A point. Okay? So I know if you're not familiar with harmonic patterns, it is very confusing at first, but if you can just remember that every leg from high to low needs to retrace at least 38.2% for it to be a valid point of a harmonic pattern. Okay? Now, let's get rid of these drawings. Okay, the other question was how to validate a B point, right? So we have this move here, this low to this high, and we're looking for what would be a valid B point. Let's go to the extremes. So we're going to have this lowest of low and highest of high of the most recent price action, and this is retraced approximately 70.7%. Okay? In order for this to be a valid B point, it's the same as on a C point or any leg. It needs to retrace at least 38.2%. So if you draw from A to B, because it needs to retrace A to B 38.2%, we see, let me change this color real quick. Let's change it red. Okay, we see that this 38.2% right here has not been hit. So this is not a valid B point. So there's two things that you can be looking for. One would to find a previous B point that is still valid. The other is to just wait, because that means it's still forming a B point. So, and that would be if nothing of these previous swing points, right? If we go to here, did it retrace 38.2%? No. This swing point, and we're looking for swing point lows, right? Did this one retrace 38.2%? Yes. So that is a valid B point. Okay? So that's where we would move the triangle. That's where we would move the triangle point to for the B point. So we have a valid B point here. What this means is, because it did bounce to at least to the 38.2%, we have an emerging bat. The reason why it's a bat is because this B point retraced about 50% of the XA. Remember, the initial impulsive move, the retracement of that, needs to be at least 38.2%, which is the top of this zone, and it did. It went right about into the middle, so that's the 50% area, and if it's going to be 50%, it's an emerging bat. And that means that the target is the 88.6%, 44.99. And as long as price, you look at the golden ratio zone, as long as price can hold below the golden ratio zone, as well as this point of the triangle, the probability is to go to that 44.99. Now, what if price, and here's the second thing that we can do when we don't have a bounce point yet, say that there was never anything in this way that had bounced 38.2%, right? So we didn't have a previous, and we're stalking one. Two things to look at. One, price would need to either break above this initial, and I'm trying to say two things here. Okay, it's going to have to at least bounce up to 38.2% from this low, right? And that's not what I meant to get. I meant to get, all right, 38.2% from this low. Until it can do that, we're really just in an emerging, we're still seeking the B point. And it could go here, it could go here, it could go here. Once it goes below this last zone between the line and the sands, the inclination is we need to have a lower X point. Okay? So we do have a valid B point here. The only way this is going to shift the dynamic of this particular pattern, and you can do a measured, you can do ABCD, the fib tool, or just draw a line. So this line is the current BC leg, right? Once price can go higher than that, can go higher than the current BC leg, and be at least 38.2%, which means price will need to come up to this 48.74, and these aren't exact because I have the snap off, but it would need to come to at least around the 48.74. Once it comes above there, then we can move this point of the triangle down here, and it shifts the dynamics of this pattern. Okay, so that's how you find a valid B or C leg whenever that particular leg can bounce at least 38.2%. If that's not the case, you're still forming a leg. Hope that helps.